Hey everyone, and welcome back to Home Drive-In in this semi-unscripted episode where I will be ranking all of the Ghostface killers from the legendary Scream series since, well, everybody else is. And with Scream 7 just around the corner, I'm super excited. Let's get to it. For me, when ranking the Scream killers, my focus was primarily on reveal and motive. Looking at things like shock value, was the motive believable in the context of the world these films have created? However, I will be taking other things into account, like the characters themselves, were they a formidable opponent, were they memorable, performances, so on and so forth. This will be more of a personal account, looking at the impact the films had on me at the time, since I was lucky enough to see the original trilogy at the cinema. Yes, I'm that old. So thus, my list might be different from yours. There'll probably be some hot takes on here, but let's just embrace our differences. Just keep in mind I'm only going to be discussing the films. I'm not going to go into the TV series, even though I have seen the first 2 seasons of the Scream series. In the tradition, I will be ranking these from worst to best, and I think this goes without saying, but there is a major spoiler warning for each film, as I will be going through Scream 1 to 6 and spoiling everything for you. Also keep in mind I will be including Jason from Scream 6, but not Greg, since it's really hard to rank a plate of leftovers in the fridge. If you know, you know. So here's my ranking of all 13 killers who don the Ghostface mask from worst to best. Number 13. Ethan Landry, aka Baby Brother Kirsch, Scream 6. As far as I'm concerned, I think all the killers in Scream 6 are kind of on a similar level. They're all really a little bit of a letdown. The whole family avenging, the killer from the previous film was done so much better in Scream 2. But in the case of Ethan Landry, he's just a bland, forgettable character, set up as this dorky, shy guy who's apparently still on his V-plates.
Am I gonna die a virgin?
I was a weird overshare.
Who everybody points the finger at, which is meant to make him look too obvious, but in this case, they're actually right. Clearly his main motive is in revenge for the death of Richie from the previous film. This is where I almost bumped Ethan up the list a little bit, because there is this one telling moment that he's doing this to honour his father. When his father's talking about the bond between his firstborn son, meaning Richie, and a little telling nod that he's doing this, I think, more to impress his father. I like that they added that little bit of character development, but for me, at the end of the day, Ethan is just forgettable. But what really put him in last place was this line to Tara.
I've always wanted to stick something in you, Tara!
That was totally cringe. Just do your thing, Tara.
I'm dying a fucking virgin.
Number 12. Charlie Walker, Scream 4. I actually don't mind the reveal of Charlie in the manner in which it was done, with him just abruptly stabbing Kirby. It was kind of a shocking moment, but then at the end of the day you just think, oh, that's it, it was him. So he and Robbie are set up as these possible suspects. They're token film buffs who hold the Stabathon each year. He's also set up to be another Randy, which he even outright claims at the end, but sorry Charlie, you are no Randy. And as far as his motive is concerned, it really was just simply to impress a girl. I mean, the things we do for love. Which makes him one of the weaker Ghostfaces and easily the most exploitable. While the grander scheme is to become famous by framing Trevor and declaring themselves the sole survivors, Charlie's personal goal is really to impress Jill, which is ridiculous because, dude, Kirby was right there. And attempting to kill Kirby also loses Charlie some points as well.
Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville.
Where were these girls when I was in high school? On the topic, however, Charlie does get in some brutal kills, especially in the scene with Olivia, but he is the weakest link in what is otherwise an awesome sequel. Number 11. Detective Wayne Bailey, aka Mr. Kirsch, Scream 6. I'm kind of ashamed to admit that I didn't pick this one straight away. It did kind of cross my mind that yes, he was involved, obviously being a new character and in such a position of authority, but it was so obvious as to be too obvious, so I didn't think they were going to go down that route, but at the end of the day, they did. As far as his motive is concerned, at face value, it should be given props. Obviously, it's the parent coming back to avenge the child, but yet again was done so much better in Scream 2. And the biggest problem with this reveal is Dermot Mulroney's performance, and I hate to say it, but he's just off here. He comes across in the film as a serious character, yet when revealed as the killer, and he's not the only one guilty of this, his performance turns almost slapstick. Clearly he's taking this whole thing very seriously. But I'll give him props, he is quite a formidable opponent, especially being in a position of authority. The shotgun scene in the convenience store was, I'm gonna say it was awesome. I loved this scene. I thought it was a fresh idea for the Scream franchise. This is also where I think you really need to suspend your disbelief. I mean, how do we expect a detective who's the father of one of the previous killers to be involved in the investigation in this film? But try not to think about it too much. Scream 6 is still a great film, so just enjoy it for what it is. Number 10. Jason Carvey, Scream 6. Jason Carvey. Why didn't you just call him Mikey Slicey? I was almost tempted to rank Jason higher than this simply because of that opening. He's the first Scream killer to actually get revealed in the prologue. But at the end of the day, he is a copycat killer, he's not our main killer for the film, so hence why he's further down the list. His motive is a mixed bag. He's a Richie Kirsch fanboy wanting to sort of continue his legacy, and the fact that he actually chose this teacher because he gave him a poor grade, I thought it would have been scary if he had actually just chosen somebody at random rather than try and justify himself with something so ridiculous. It might have been interesting to see a Scream film from the killer's perspective for a change, but I'm glad they didn't change the formula, but we kind of got our cake and eat it too with this one. And I love the fact that one Ghostface gets killed by another. Number 9. Quinn Bailey, aka Baby Sister Kirsch, Scream 6. Of the 3 killers revealed at the end of Scream 6, I think she is the one that gives the strongest performance. And I must confess I did fall for the fake out death. I probably shouldn't have, especially since they've pulled that a couple of times before. Billy Loomis, Roman Bridger. The reason I've actually put Quinn higher up on the list is that I think she's actually seems genuinely psychotic. I think she's the most believable of the Kirsch family. As far as her motive is concerned, again, she's on par with the rest. She's avenging the death of Richie. Quinn also did get a little more character development and was introduced as a self-proclaimed sex-positive character. Hey, since she was sex-positive and her brother was a virgin, does that make him sex-negative? Quinn, however, is the best of an underwhelming bunch and remained a pretty badass character, even after having some teeth knocked out. She could have used a more glorious death, however, meeting her end with a simple bullet to the noggin. Number 8. Mickey Altieri, Scream 2. Okay, Scream 2 is and probably always will be my favourite Scream sequel, and it pains me to rank Mickey so low because I love this character in every aspect, except his reveal and his motive. I remember really enjoying Scream 2 when I was watching it in the cinema, but my first reaction when Mickey takes off the mask is, who is this guy again? The biggest problem with this reveal is Mickey just needed to be more of a presence in the film's second act. I mean, we don't see him until 50 minutes before the reveal. Mickey's personal motive was, of course, to get famous from what he believed was going to be a trial by media. Yet in Mickey's case, he wants to blame the movies for influencing his killing spree. I think it was a response to the moral panic at the time that, films were causing real life violence. I understand that the blame the movies angle was actually the point, and it kind of ties in with the meta nature of the series, but I'm just not buying it at the end of the day. Even Mrs. Loomis thought,
poor boy was completely out of his mind.
However, Mickey makes up for these things in every other way. He's a formidable killer. He's very charismatic. He's maybe not Stu-level charismatic, but a fun character to watch. And he's played by Timothy Olyphant. Enough said. I love the character of Mickey, just can't get behind his reveal or motive. Sorry. Number 7. Roman Bridger, Scream 3. As it pains me to put Mickey at number 8, it's equally painful putting Roman ahead, as I'm not really a fan of this character at all, but one must admit, as a killer, he's efficient. Scream 3 is a bit of a mess. It's certainly not a bad film by any means. I'll throw it on occasionally, but it is my least favourite of the franchise. Roman's reveal is quite simply underwhelming, but the biggest issue I have is the fact that he's got no previous screen time with Sydney. Granted, neither does Mrs. Loomis, but unlike her, this is a character that she's never even met before. So there's no pre-established connection between these two characters, and thus no feelings of betrayal that made the first 2 films work as well as they did. As far as motives, it is at face value a fairly strong one, turning out to be the illegitimate son of Maureen Prescott and Sydney's half-brother, coming back for revenge because their mother completely disowned him. Yet the biggest problem is that this reveal all but turns the Scream franchise into a soap opera, and worse still, attempts to rewrite the history that we as the audience came to love. We're supposed to accept that Roman was the one that instigated the murder spree with Billy and Stu, which for me, I've kind of retconned in my mind as I much prefer the original legacy as it was, but hey, It's just a movie. That said, I've got to give Roman props for being the only killer who executes his plans single-handedly in any of the Scream films so far. I was also shocked at the sheer brutality of Roman against Sidney during this reveal. I know it's morbid to view that as a positive thing, but we are ranking these characters on their effectiveness as a villain. So I bumped Roman up ahead of Mickey simply because his motive on paper is what instigates the entire franchise. Number 6. Richie Kirsch, Scream 2022. Okay, a little side note, my ranking of Richie as a killer has been somewhat tainted since I love Jack Quaid's character in The Boys, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. I'm only up to season 2, so no spoilers please. This is the one Scream film in which I actually pretty much picked up on both killers. At the end of the day, it's being set up to be this requel, and I kind of thought, okay, yeah, the love interest, the boyfriend, they're going to go the whole Billy Loomis route, and they did. Although in this case, I think in the case of Richie, he's actually set up as being this really, really nice guy. I actually really like Richie's character until he's revealed to be the killer, of course. And Jack Quaid's just awesome in everything. And once again, we really have to suspend disbelief. I mean, we're supposed to buy the fact that he and Amber orchestrated Richie to get close enough to Sam so that she would fall for him, so the pair could carry out another killing spree. Which brings us to the motive, which I'm not a fan of. This is toxic fandom at its absolute worst. So basically, he and Amber are fanatical about the film within a film stab franchise and are trying to produce new source material since they were disappointed with the latest films in the series. I understand the toxic fandom angle is the point, and it suits the whole meta nature of the series, but at this case, it's really just getting very, very silly.
I'm a really big fan.
Go fuck yourself.
One thing I do love about Richie, and more so he and Amber as a duo, is unlike other films in this series, they seem to be a true partnership with no clear ringleader between the two of them. Speaking of which, number 5. Amber Freeman, Scream 2022. I find that I'm not the only person that actually ranks these two pretty much side by side, as the two of them are interchangeable simply because they are on such equal footing. You've got to credit Amber with one of the most out of left field reveals with her spontaneously shooting Liv. However, I actually suspected Amber right from the start for a totally random reason, since in the prologue the killer is actually calling from Amber's phone claiming not to be Amber. And my first thought was, what if it actually is Amber? Again, the motive, as I'll reiterate, she and Richie are trying to influence the next film in the Stab franchise, which again is as far-fetched as these motives get, becoming a little hard to swallow even in the meta context of the franchise. I do, however, love the fact that Amber lives in Stu's house, and I thought it would have been better if they'd really doubled down on that element, with maybe Amber moving in quite innocently and becoming a fanatic due to that. That said, I love Amber and Richie. They're two of my favourite killers to actually watch, being that they're just so full of life. Their ridiculous motives, taint the whole thing, but at the end of the day, they both deliver entertaining performances. I also think Amber's one of the funnier villains, especially when she kind of backpedals when Gale and Sydney get the upper hand, and God, did she have one of the best deaths. And I know I'm not the first person to point this out, but I love the fact that a character played by the now Oscar-winning Mikey Madison dies in a fire, similar to the death of her character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 4. Jill Roberts, Scream 4. Holy shit, where do we begin with Jill? Easily one of the most sinister and cold-blooded villains to grace this franchise, and I love the fact they actually set her up to be the new Sydney, only to have her revealed as the killer at the end. I've got to tell you, this one completely took me by surprise. I also love the fact that Jill's motivation is simply to get famous, in the same way that Sydney has through all the experiences she's gone through. Although I did start to roll my eyes a little bit when she started going on about living in Sid's shadow and the supposed burden of being related to her, and Sydney. It's almost like she's trying to justify herself. She's a cold-blooded killer seeking fame and fortune. She's not fooling anyone. It might have been better if they just left with her outright declaring, "You got famous off this, now it's my turn." So her motive on paper is clever and way ahead of its time, being released in 2011 where, social media and everything else is really just starting to take off. Further adding to Jill's calculated insanity, she puppeteers Charlie to do all the heavy lifting for her, and that scene where she injures herself to look like a victim is one of the most jaw-dropping and brutal moments in the franchise. Jill is easily the coldest and most calculating villain in the Scream universe, especially since killing her own mother and shooting poor Trevor right in the boy parts. I mean, damn girl.
Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
Number 3. Billy Loomis, Scream. I know he's everybody's number one, but hear me out on this. Naturally, Billy is the OG killer, and rightfully in my top 3, and his reveal at the time was pure genius, set up as being so glaringly obvious so as not to arouse suspicion. Only to find out that, yep, he's our guy, with the twist being that we were right to point the finger all along. And this was a testament at the time to a writer and director that just knew this genre so well and knew how to toy with the audience. Be that Billy's motive itself isn't actually one of my favourites. I like the fact that he actually leads in saying that it's scarier without a motive. But I did appreciate the fact that they did include one, with Sydney's mother having an affair with Billy's father, ultimately causing his family to break up. Overall, Billy is the original Ghostface killer to whom we compare all others, with Skeet Ulrich, in all his finger-licking glory, playing the character to perfection. That said, in my mind, his mother upstaged him just a little bit. Number 2. Mrs. Loomis, aka Debbie Salt, Scream 2. I love this reveal and the fact that it's played by Laurie Metcalf. The casting of Laurie Metcalf, I think, was genius at the time. I mean, the sitcom Roseanne was pretty massive. It was kind of winding down. It was in its final seasons, but it was massive in the 90s. I watched it. Everybody watched it. She was a household name, and the fact that you had yet another TV personality coming in to play this background character in what you think is just a nice little cameo, only to have her emerge as the primary antagonist, which was once again a clever way to subvert audience expectations. I also love the fact that the twist is actually hinted at earlier in the film in a comedic moment, which is always the best place to hide your clues. And that's when they're watching the preview of Stab on TV. And it's the scene where Stab Billy, played by Luke Wilson, talks about his mother leaving, and I thought, what a clever way to hint at the ending by hiding such a clue in plain sight. I thought that was brilliant. And as far as motives go, you can't get much stronger than avenging the death of a child, with Mrs. Loomis coming back to avenge Billy's death from the original. Laurie Metcalf in this scene is over the top, but she's the right amount of over the top. She's goofy, but the right amount of goofy. And this is for me where the finale for Scream 2, which is still my favourite Scream sequel, really redeemed itself. And I just love the fact that Billy's mother being the killer is also kind of a reverse homage to Mrs. Voorhees from the original Friday the 13th. Mrs. Loomis for me is one of my favourite reveals. She was almost number 1, but come on. Number 1, Stu Marker, Scream. I gotta say, this is the reveal that shocked me the most, because we learn 2 things in this moment. We learn how easily we'd been duped, and the fact that there are in fact 2 killers. And of course, one of the killers turning out to be one of the most likeable and goofy characters, somebody that we'd actually followed up until this point, was such a shock at the time. I almost wish I could share with you what it was like back in 1996, sitting in the cinema when Stu says he's now iconic.
Surprise, Sydney.
The collective response from the audience was this shock, giggle and gasp at the same time, because up to this point this character had been so likeable, and every scene leading up to this, the audience just loved him. And as far as his motive is concerned, he's just doing it for the yucks. He seems to be the one killer in the Scream franchise that really has no distinct motive, other than
peer pressure.
It seems Billy just came along and said, hey, let's go on a murder spree, and Stu said, hey, yeah, cool, why not? He seems to be completely disconnected from the harm that he's actually doing, which makes him probably one of the more frightening villains. Of course, Kevin Williamson later came out and said he was inspired by Leopold and Loeb, who killed a 14-year-old boy back in the 1920s, and also suggested that Billy and Stu were more than just friends. But back then, as far as the audience was concerned, Stu was just doing this for shits and giggles. For me, Stu is number 1, and it's a real testament to Matthew Lillard's performance. I mean, this character was quite underwritten, Kevin Williamson later admitted, but Matthew Lillard just gave it everything. He's the perfect balance to, the brains of the operation, which is Billy Loomis, and who will ever forget this line delivery?
My mom and dad are gonna be so mad.
Well, there you have it. That's my ranking of all 13 Scream Ghostface reveals. I hope you enjoyed it. I know there were some hot takes in this one, but I would love to hear from you guys, so feel free to share what your rankings are in the comments. I also really want to take the time to thank the people who have commented on my previous videos and shared their experiences of seeing some of the films I've actually covered. I really do enjoy reading them. You guys are really helping me build this channel, and I cannot thank you enough. So thank you. Please also don't forget to give this video a like and hit those subscribe and notification buttons. I will be back soon with a new video, but until then, be good to yourselves and each other. I'll see you next time.